So your work together 12-1 is turned on. And basically what we're doing in 12-1 is we're going to be going through and calculating our earnings, which is going to be how much money people have made because they have worked. So we have employee numbers, and that's going to be very typical that in an employee payroll system that you're going to have people that are going to be assigned numbers, just to keep track of their information just a little bit easier. So instead of names here, again, it is listed as employee 1 through 4. We can see here that we have hours worked, we have regular and overtime. We have a column for regular earnings, overtime earnings, and total earnings. So again, this is going to be step 1 for calculating our payroll. When we read our directions for work together 12-1, it says information from employee time cards are provided. For each employee, calculate the amount of regular, overtime, and total earnings, and it says overtime are paid at 1.5 times the regular rate. So really, truly, what we have to do is we have to get out our calculator, because this is going to be some multiplication that we have to go through and do. So for employee number 1, we're going to go through and calculate the regular earnings. So you're going to calculate that by doing 40 times the regular rate of 9. So regular earnings is going to be 360. Now, when we calculate overtime hours, the first thing you have to do is calculate your overtime rate. To calculate your overtime rate, you're going to use the regular rate, which is $9. Then you're going to multiply that by 1.5. So that means employee number 1 earns $13.50 per hour for overtime. So then you'll take $13.50 and then you'll multiply that by the number of overtime hours worked, which is going to be 5. So that gives us overtime earnings of $67.50. To calculate your total earnings, you're going to take your overtime earnings plus your regular earnings, and that would give me $427.50. And then you would just go through and repeat and do that. One of the things that I tend to do is I tend to go through and do regular earnings first and then go back and do all overtime. That's just the way I like to calculate things. If they didn't earn any overtime hours, you do need to put a 0 in there. If you leave it blank, it'll mark it wrong for you. Again, the trickiest part about this section is calculating the right amount of overtime rate. Take your regular rate times 1.5.